welcome to episode 6 of Unlocked Radio, right here on the Morning Show Central Radio Network. We're here to provide you with gaming news, gaming perspective, and gaming discussion. Remember to be sure to like us on Facebook, facebook.com/pages/Unlocked Radio. Also follow us on Twitter at Unlocked Radio. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/user/Unlocked Radio. And if you can't see the theme here, if you forget any of that, simply check out our website to get all that info we plug here, www.unlockedradio.com. Also, remember to check out our other shows on MSC Radio Network, and there's morningshowcentral.com. You're probably watching that live right now, morningshowcentral.com/watch for those of you who are on the radio app on your phone. For those of you who are watching and not on the phone, you can tune in, download the TuneIn Radio app, then search for Morning Show Central and listen to us on the go. Also, call into the show toll-free at 888-668-0742. We are your hosts here, Chip and Rio. Yep. And obviously, Chip here. I'm Rio. And today we're bringing you an entire episode dedicated to one of the biggest genres in the competitive gaming, fighters. But first, I believe Chip has another little advertisement for us from one of our generous sponsors.
All right, so one of our sponsors, Lakewood Computer at 14035 Madison Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio. Go ahead and call them toll-free at 855-580-0768. If you're in need of computer repairs or just want to cut the cost of ink, cartridges, and printing supplies, count on Lakewood Computer in Lakewood, Ohio to provide it all. For the past 5 years, they've been providing you with the huge assortment of computer equipment and services at very competitive prices. They purchase and sell pre-owned desktops, laptops, and related equipment. And they offer outstanding prices on aftermarket printing supplies, including toner cartridges and ink cartridges. In addition to their cost-effective computers and computing products, they also provide services and repairs for HP LaserJet printers and a complete menu of personal as well as commercial computer repairs. With 29 years of professional experience, they are highly confident in their ability to enhance your overall computing experience. Check them out at www.joeslakewoodcomputer.com. And I got another one of those for you at the end of the show. I don't want to do that, though, but I obligated.
All right, today we are joined by Bobby Cruz, a.k.a. Blacktastic, for those of you who have been fortunate enough to get your ass beat by him in a tournament. Bobby, say hello to the fans and tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind.
Well, hey, guys. Thank you for having me on the show, by the way. My name is Bobby Cruz. Most of the competitive fighting game community may know to me as Blacktastic. I hail from Cleveland, Ohio, representative of Console Combat, the Midwest's premier fighting game.
Hey, Midwest scene fighters.
Tell me a little bit about myself. I first started competitive gaming right around 2008, 2009, and it just started. The whole scene started with just a couple people, and just with enough advertisement and just general likeness of fighting games in general. We brought in a little bit of casual players, and we sort of weeded out the casuals from the guys who actually wanted to get better. Right. And that was our goal as what was known then as, West Side Market Shank now is now known as Console Combat. We just wanted to get known. We just wanted our players to improve, and that's basically what our scene was all about.
That's a good way to start. Everybody all has started before the days of online gaming and everything. We've talked about this multiple times on the show because we all have nostalgia. That's what gamers do.
Right.
And it's always about, you always have your little group of friends. You guys get better at it. How are you going to evolve that into larger groups, into bigger things? Because now gaming is a very big facet of every day-to-day entertainment. It's no longer a little thing that you do in your basement and you have to be ashamed of. People know about it all the time now.
Yep, and that was a great way to definitely get out there and experience new fighting games. I met a couple people going to one of them and ended up getting into BlazBlue. So
right.
That was definitely a new experience to me because that is a fairly unique fighting game. At least to me. Fighting games are not my forte, but
it's Guilty Gear but blue.
Yeah,
the metagame is a bit different, but there's a lot of specific details that we want to talk about as far as the fighting games, and that's what Bobby's here to help us out with. We want to talk first about some of the upcoming games because the viewers always want to know what new stuff is coming out, why they should play those games over other ones. We talked a little bit about this game first that I'm about to bring up, but I want to get more into it from an actual fighter's perspective, not just us as jack-of-all-trades gamers' perspective. Well, we want to talk about new Super Smash Brothers. From an actual, it's kind of more along the lines of Smash Brothers is supposed to be just a fun-for-all kind of game.
Right.
But there are plenty of people who do it very competitively. How do you turn something like that that's meant to be just for fun? How does it get that competitive? How do you find that?
Well, in the competitive fighting game community, Super Smash Brothers is a very controversial subject, but there is a big scene for it. You've probably seen it featured in one of the biggest fighting game events of all time, Evolution. And it's actually coming back this weekend at Evolution 2013 with Smash Brothers Melee, not Brawl, but Melee.
Right. Yeah. Melee still seems to hold the test of time.
Especially with the competitive fighting game community. And the thing about Smash Brothers is that even though that the creator, the developer itself, said that it wasn't really meant to be a fighting game, people still found a way to get competitive with it. And
well, with anything, it's like, oh, I'm better than you, and then someone's like, no, well, I'm better than you. Well, I have a friend who's better than all of you, and then next thing you know, there's going to be tournaments where there's prize money and stuff. So I mean, that's how it works.
Exactly. I mean, I firmly believe that you can turn anything competitive just with the right amount of push. Super Smash Brothers, let's just say Melee, because that's pretty much like the mainstay in the fighting game community. It's just the fact that you have all of these people congregating together and playing. Now, that in and itself, I call a scene.
Yeah.
And what a scene does, they play together, and ultimately they want to get better. And if there's tournaments here, they want to go to those tournaments, possibly dominate, or if they don't, just get better. I mean, like, I don't understand like what people's gripes are about saying that, oh, it's not a real fighting game, or it's a party game. But I mean, if you look at the tournament standings, if you look at the previous major events that have been held before, you can pretty much just take it from that shut up, it's a competitive game.
Right. Yeah. It's something that's very simple, but yet we can make it very complicated. I think that's why Melee, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Melee makes it stays more competitive than Brawl, simply because it is a more technical version of the engine. It can it's easier to manipulate, and it has better, like, as far as fighters go, you always worry about hitboxes, windows, and just the things that you do, and as far as fighting and making it competitive, Brawl does more to try to even the playing field, whereas Melee seems to allow for that competition.
It allows for a better tier system, yeah.
Right. So how does it do that why is it that fighters, people who are hardcore fighters, why do they typically go for Melee versus Brawl, from your perspective?
Well, let's see. Even after E3, the actual creator of the team of Smash Bros. Got interviewed and said, okay, you know what? Yeah, Melee was created for the more experienced, more seasoned fighting game player. Much opposed to Brawl, we kind of just like evened the playing field. We had a little bit of quirks here and there. Some people may or may not have been happy with that, but ultimately they're still playing the game that they prefer the most. And I'm so glad to see that a game like Smash Brothers Brawl, literally a decade and some change years old, still seeing prominent placings in major fighting game tournaments, and especially at you could even call it the grandest stage of them all, if throw a little bit of wrestling term in there.
Right.
The WrestleMania fighting game events, Evolution.
Yeah, Evo is one of the big ones, and even MLG does some stuff with Smash, but I don't. You see it more in MLG than you do in Evo. But Evo has more technical fighters.
MLG, they did house fighting games for a time. They housed fighters like Smash Brothers, Mortal Kombat, even King of Fighters 13, which was just released a couple years ago.
Right.
They've been a little bit let off on the fighting games for
too much for them.
Well, I mean, for unknown reasons, but it has been rumored that they are bringing some fighting games back. So I'm really glad to see that they're giving fighters another chance. Yeah. With Super Smash Brothers Brawl, it's just, as the fighting game community, we are the voice, we are the opinion. So if we create a large enough noise to have a game featured in a fighting game tournament, and actually want to pay you guys, pay the tournament organizers our money to put into a pot and to compete to see who's the best, then I just don't see why you wouldn't let us, play our game.
Right,
in
play
your tournament.
Melee instead of, even though if it's older.
I mean, if it's drawing a crowd, and it's making money, then what's the problem?
Exactly.
Now, new games as far as things that might come into MLG, things that might end up in EVO, games that as far as competitive fighters and the other aspect of the things, I want to talk about Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate.
Okay.
Is obviously we've talked about this before the show, that Dead or Alive is my personal favorite when it comes to fighters. It's very intuitive. It seems to be a kind of game that anyone can pick up and play, and at least have a chance against somebody who might be better, even if they'll always lose by the more technical fighter, but it seems to be less steep of a learning curve.
Right.
But the other thing on the aspect is now they're coming out with Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate, and we go, well, wait a second, don't we already have Dead or Alive 5?
Mm-hmm. Dead or Alive 5.1.
Dead or Alive 5, and actually we have Dead or Alive 5 and Dead or Alive 5 Plus, and now Ultimate. And
so it's 5.2.
Right, 5.2, yes, these little things. Is it really worth it to spend another $50 on the same game but an updated version when everyone else on all these other games are just doing downloadable content? Why a whole new installment?
Well, you see, the thing is about like Dead or Alive and products that are actually following it is that, again, what I just came back to is how interested as a scene we are in actually playing Dead or Alive. Having a new, let's say a new update. I mean, yeah, we could have had a balance patch for it, but apparently Tecmo wanted to blow this up so big that, it's a completely new, different fighting game with a lot of balance changes, and I mean, they really want to blow this up. So, I mean, it's a really good marketing, I don't want to say scheme, but marketing technique to say, hey,
to milk my money.
Wait. So what I'm hearing here is we had basically a pay to beta kind of thing going on.
Pay to beta. Well, Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate is having a free-to-play type thing where, you download the game, you get a couple characters to try out, and I definitely love this free-to-play game because without actually cashing out your $60 for a game, you can actually download it from like a store if you have internet and just try it out.
Kind of get hooked on it.
There's a training mode, there's an online mode. See how you stack up. I mean, if you're like, whoa, if I really like this game, I could always buy the other characters or the other features with the full package.
Yeah. But the other end of that spectrum is, back in the day, we used to unlock things by playing the game, and now it's like, hey, I played it long enough, I finally unlocked all the secret levels and secret characters, now I have to pay to unlock all those things. Is that really a better way to go?
Well, the thing is, what they're actually, even doing is, along with the free-to-play scheme, they have the actual retail package where you can just buy the game and have everything unlocked from the get-go, which is really great for tournament organizers who don't have to buy these copies of the game and insert them in the PS3s and then play through everything. And people can say back in the day, well, we used to unlock everything, but for tournament organizers and for, how quickly the fighting game community evolved as a competitive tournament scene. Okay. Do tournament organizers really want to go through all that, or does anybody else really want to go through all that?
I either borrow someone's system to get all the unlocked characters, or I have to sit down and play it.
We want everything instant. We want everything now. If 1,000 people, now I mean like that's a bit far fetched, but if 1,000 people say, hey, you're throwing a tournament, we want our game featured. We'll throw in the venue fee, we'll throw in the entry fee, just have the game featured. And you're like, I mean, if this many people are really interested in playing, then why not? Then.
So what you're saying is that they did this, specifically for the the competitive community is the way they're releasing the stuff now. Just buy everything, that way it's already there, just for the competitive folk.
Exactly. So I mean, there are different routes to take, whether you're a casual gamer or a hardcore gamer or a tournament player.
Yeah, I feel like you should have like the tournament edition, and then you should have like the regular edition. So, people that like to, unlock things, through gameplay, like myself, can have, that aspect. But then you can just buy the tournament pack and have everything already unlocked.
Exactly, and that's exactly what they're doing with this little, with the many options that you're able to buy it from.
Well, DOA 5 actually did this where you downloaded an update and downloaded a patch for the actual DOA 5, which gave you a feature called Exhibition Mode, where you literally just switch it on and everything in the game is unlocked. For those of us who don't want to just sit there and play through the single player, I want to play a fighting game with my friends, and I want to have access to everything. I shouldn't have to slave away in order to do it. It's a fighting game. Everyone should be on an even playing field with access to all the characters so that they can get good with all the characters, train with them however they see fit.
I like to work my way through it. I like to build up, unlock everything, and then once I've unlocked it, then I can practice it because it makes it feel more worth it to me.
All right, well, let me ask you a question.
All right.
Have you ever had this fighting game at launch and you really wanted it? You're like, all right, we should go buy it. I'm gonna say, let's dial it back to say Tekken 4.
Okay.
All right, so you're with your buddies and you're at this EB Games. It's way back in that time, and you're gonna buy Tekken 4. So you buy Tekken 4. You drive home, you're like, man, I can't wait to play this with all these characters and all these new different. I mean, the graphics look amazing, and the characters look amazing. You pop it in disc tray. What are these question marks in the boxes? It featured over 20, 30, whatever characters, but I'm only seeing like 16.
Yeah.
Have you ever been so disappointed like that? And you're like, dude, I wanted to play Violet or Li
Yeah.
Chao Lan, and you're like, well, where is he? Oh, he's one of the question marks. So we have to unlock it. So now instead of having this all hype to say, to just jump right into the game and play it, like, yeah, I'm gonna, whoop my friend's ass, whatever.
I'm sorry, but somebody's talking some mad shit here in the chat, and it's making me laugh a lot.
Yeah.
We have some Ustream kid saying, hey guys, let's play Mario Party. Oh fuck, I need to unlock all the boards. Eat a dick, Nintendo. And he also asked if wasn't Bobby still a fetus when Tekken 4 was out? Response, Bobby.
Well, no, I was actually very much alive and very much knowledgeable about fighting games when Tekken 4 came out. I was actually introduced to Tekken 4 by my friend who actually, came over, and let's play Tekken 4. I'm like, I'm definitely fresh in the fighting games, and I'm open to anything. Just Tekken 4, it sounded like
Go ahead.
It sounded like the greatest idea ever. I mean, you saw trailers, you saw, you can pop them up with combos, you can knock them into walls, and all of that type of stuff that, as you're a kid, I was pretty juvenile then. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
I want to keep going on with Tekken, by the way, because we have Tekken X Street Fighter is getting another update. Just like we were talking about the updates in DOA 5, go to DOA 5 Plus, DOA 5 Ultimate. Then we have, back in the days of Street Fighter Turbo, Street Fighter 2 Turbo Tournament Edition, Championship Edition, all these. And again, paying more money on this. But Tekken X Street Fighter seems to have a lot of good updates. I was wondering if you could share with us some of the big things that make it worth the money.
Well, let me start off by saying that Tekken Cross Street Fighter is actually an entirely different game than what you might be thinking. Street Fighter Cross Tekken, which was just released about a year or two ago, it actually follows normal 2D fighting playstyle, whatever.
With 3D characters.
Yeah, with 3D characters. And it's actually been doing pretty successful until as of late. Where, if interest for a game dies down, then it dies down. Tekken versus Street Fighter, though, it's actually still very well in development. We have Harada from Tekken overlooking the project, which will be an entirely different game, actually styled in like the Tekken mechanics. So you'll have this 3D plane you can move around and you can low parry.
It seemed like it was set in Street Fighter 4 mechanics. That's what it looked like for the most part.
For Street Fighter Cross Tekken, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they were two separate things. As you just put them on the other side of the X, and that makes it a whole new game.
No, the reason why you might have been confused is that Tekken Cross Street Fighter was actually kept on the real low hush hush. I mean, like, there have been like tweeted pics or during social media like, oh hey, like this is still going on. But I really do have full belief that this game's actually going to be really good, especially for Tekken and Street Fighter fans alike, because that's exactly what Street Fighter Cross Tekken did, merging the two different demographics for people who like Street Fighter.
And they're two very hardcore fighters as well. A lot of people like them.
Exactly.
The people who like them have liked them for their entire series.
Exactly. Like everybody who was, let's say, semi-competitive gamer, hey, what if we had Street Fighter characters versus the Namco characters versus I want Ryu versus Jin or whatever.
Yeah.
And they just a couple years ago when they actually teased the Street Fighter Cross Tekken, it just completely blew their minds.
Yeah.
Now for Tekken Cross Street Fighter, that there's still hope that hey, we're doing this other thing. Let's try mixing the demographics together again. I mean, for people who haven't really liked Street Fighter Cross Tekken, I was a bit of a fan there, but I kind of lost interest, and I know some of my other friends in the chat have.
Yeah, having the characters, crossing is one thing, but then you have to figure out, okay, how do we appeal to the Street Fighter audience and that, game style demographic? And then the same with Tekken, and so
2D versus 3D, they're very different.
Having both demographics, reach using the same characters is actually a really good idea, and I agree with this. I like this idea.
Exactly. So Street Fighter Cross Tekken was entirely on a 2D plane, which I would admit some Tekken players must have felt a little bit alienated. From having to transfer to a 2D plane rather than their regular 3D plane, and that's why they're doing too. Tekken Cross Street Fighter will actually have this free flowing 3D movement like you would see in a Namco game regularly.
Yeah, So
a little tidbit of news here in the chat. Evidently, cereal boxes had copies of Street Fighter X Tekken in Japan. Evidently, that's how they're giving it out. I don't.
Yeah, it's
because Americans.
well, the thing
Wow.
is, for sale, Street Fighter Cross Tekken actually did good for the competitive community, though. I would say that
There's a lot of complaints in the chat, so I'm guessing.
yeah, let's just say that the direction that they took with Street Fighter Cross Tekken didn't really appeal to everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
It's hard to.
It really is hard to. I mean, like for on paper, it's genius, but for the way that they did it, okay, let's share a little bit of a story here. For Street Fighter Cross Tekken, all right, you have your characters, and which is fine, but you also have this little mechanic called gems. Now, gems are like little.
Just mentioned it.
Exactly. Gems are little, let's say, little augments to your character that gives your character buffs, like 10% attack speed or whatever, and to the competitive fighting community, that felt a little bit unfair because
Like items in Smash.
Yeah.
Most people turn them off.
Oh yeah, pretty much. But it actually went a little bit further down the ditch. For Capcom decided it was a great idea to release downloadable content gems. So not only do you have the gems, the stock
You're paying
gems,
to play buffs.
you're paying. Yeah, you're paying to win because
Right,
because these
pay to
DLC gems have like some crazy buffs and.
Isn't that what rich kids do? Pay to win.
I mean,
It's a rich kid kind of thing. Pay to
I
win.
have no idea, man. I've grown up in this neighborhood, so
So let me give you a little bit of a example. Okay, so in 2009 onwards, online play has received a considerable inflation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so with these downloadable content gems, which give you crazy buffs, and you're like, you know what? I don't want to pay for gems. I want to play legitimately. I'm not going to use any gems at all.
Right.
So you go on to say like a ranked match. Now, a ranked match involves, or not involves, but it includes the ability to use these gems. So you're saying you're Ryu,
I see what
and you're Ryu and Ken up against a Kazuya and a Jin. Now these gens have, these Tekken characters have, 30% attack speed, 30%, defense, auto blocking. So the gem could actually
just sit
do the
there?
job for you instead of actually holding back to block. You could expend a little bit of your meter.
How
to
hard
actually-
is it to block? It's a real simple concept. You generally just want to put the joystick away from where the pain is coming.
You see how you're complaining right now? This is basically what the competitive fighting game community was like. So you can pay to have the game being played for you, and without any sort of reward, I can get these considerable damage buffs, and I can completely dominate everybody in online ranked or whatever. I mean, in tournaments, it's a little bit of a different story, but it just seems a little bit unfair to the casual gamer.
yeah.
It really is. It's unfair to the competitive gamer because you work your ass off to get good at this game, but somebody can just pay a little bit of money
And have auto
have
block.
have an advantage on you. That's not cool.
See, that's
Exactly.
why I like the way Mortal Kombat did it initially. I know a lot of other games have done it. When you have the handicaps that you can set during character selection,
But it's
That
already
I
there.
like.
You don't have to pay for
Yeah,
it.
that I like, because some of my friends are still learning the game. Sometimes my friends are better than me, so sometimes, you gotta level the playing field a little bit to make it a little bit more fun. But these gems, like, one person can auto block, has auto block, and one person doesn't. Like, that. This is depressing to me.
Just the whole gem idea, if I can make a pun here, is truly outrageous. Truly outrageous.
Yeah, it already has that. I want to move on to another game here, another game coming out that I'm pretty sure we might get into a big spat out, and I'm pretty sure the chat's going to go nuts. Killer Instinct 3. Even though they're calling it Killer Instinct, they're not calling it Killer Instinct 3, which is kind of confusing to me because the developers were talking at E3 about how the story was going to take place after the first two, as far as storyline goes.
Right.
But now what's going to happen? But then we got to figure out what's going to happen with what about characters who have died off? How is that going to work out? Are they going to bring them back? What are they going to do? Saberwolf suddenly doesn't have cybernetic arms. He just decided to rip them off and grow his arms back. Yeah. So the Glacius looks incredibly different. You have the Jago has a whole new thing going on. But I want to talk Killer Instinct, and I want your opinion on this game because this is one of the things that everyone's looking forward to more than a lot of things, and more than just about anything when it comes to fighters right now.
Sorry, I'm watching chat constantly scrolling over
Yeah,
here.
it's constantly scrolling. People are going, and I see the word trash a lot.
Yeah, I saw trash. I saw Cookie
It's a
Combo
little bit of-
Breaker. Yeah, I'm seeing more and more trash.
Someone put combo breaker. I'm really upset that the C's did not span the entire screen. Just
A little bit.
right.
Well,
I saw something about are we casual gamers, and it's like, who's not a casual gamer?
Yeah.
you
play
competitive
games.
gamers are not casual
I was
gamers.
like,
Yes.
you play games. Obviously, you're not always against an opponent, or at least not always against a challenging opponent.
Okay.
I would count that as casual.
Yeah. To clarify that and to be as specific as we can, we are both casual gamers in a broad spectrum, play a lot of different types of games, and we just want to know as much as we possibly can about everything, and we enjoy a lot of different types of things, but then we also have our fortes in certain areas.
Yes.
Mine being like music related games, and then of course the Call of Duty thing, but that's a whole big story that I don't want to get into because that's 6 years I got to cover. Back to Killer Instinct, however, this is what I want to talk about now because I want to learn more about the fighters that I'm going to be probably buying.
Well, the thing about Killer Instinct, the reboot, is that they're also following this free-to-play scheme that Dead or Alive and let's see, Tekken Revolution has adopted, where you can download the game, play it for a bit. You get Jago first as a playable character, and if you feel like you like the game, and if you feel like you want to get into it more competitively, you want to branch out to new characters, so then you can go on to the new package. This free-to-play scheme, I really enjoy because I think that's what acts as a bridge between casual gaming and competitive gaming. Because right now, as casual gamers, you don't really have to spend that much amount of money to try out a new game that you like.
Yeah.
Or that that you
to
could
see if you
potentially
like
like.
it. Yeah.
Because nobody, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody here, everybody in the chat can say, hey, I bought this new game for $60 at GameStop. I really hated it, so I wanted to trade it in. I only got like $25.
Yeah.
Nobody likes feeling ripped off like that.
Yeah.
That's true, but you are able to download
free-to-play,
demos now.
This free to play, these demos, that definitely helps a lot with that. However, I feel like they don't go quite as deep as they could. With fighting games, obviously, for the most part, you're getting the general concept. You're getting, the fighting mechanic. You're getting an idea of what the characters are capable of, how the combos string together. Basic, concept. Demos for some of those RPGs and stuff. You play like one good level, and then the rest of the game could suck.
Well, this is what's so great about this
So-
Killer Instinct, the free-to-play package, is that, you're only getting like one character, but you're getting a slew, like you're pretty much getting the full package, just the characters are a bit out of reach.
Yeah.
What Double Helix Studios is doing is that, well, let's see, we've all played Killer Instinct before.
Yes.
And as we know, as when we were younger, we can mash things out, make things look cool, but we really didn't really know how to play the game. Now, what Double Helix is doing is that they're offering this free-to-play package with a slew of options. You have your online, so you can go online, take your Jago to little other Jagos and see how your Jago stacks up against their Jago, or
There's a lot of Jago.
Yo, that's why I heard you like Jagos. But you do also have a training mode where you can test out your combos and see if certain setups work. And there's also this, which is new to the Killer Instinct series, a tutorial mode. Really, okay, we're gonna, I'm not necessarily hand, but we're gonna show you how these mechanics work, how you can use them to your benefit and to your advantage, so you can take your Jago online and start bodying other Jagos.
Where's the advantage of taking my girl character's shirt off and making a guy's eyeballs pop out of his head and die? Do they explain that in the tutorial?
That would be DLC, sir.
As it should be.
As it should be. Well, that was the thing in the game. One thing I noticed about the game, though, and everybody was saying, oh, this doesn't look like Killer Instinct at all. It looks like Street Fighter. I was like, well, kind of, yes. But what Killer Instinct did originally was it took pieces of all the fighting games that were popular then and meshed it into one big thing and then blah, out with the game. They took... Everybody likes Street Fighter and the combos and everything, so they took the combos, and then everybody's like the blood and the gore of Mortal Kombat, so they put those together, they rolled it up into a ball, and came out with this game. And it worked out really well.
Yeah.
But if you go back and for nostalgia and play actual Killer Instinct, and you're actually good at fighting games now, and you can probably attest to this, you'll realize just how boring the game really is. It's all... Who presses forward first? You lost, because everything is just hold back for 3 seconds and forward, a couple double punch, get in that trap, and then
button mash
while holding forward, hold forward to hit punch twice again, and then hold back again while you're hitting punch, and then go forward and kick, and that's how the combos ran. Especially like people like Saberwolf, like Glacius, they all did that sort of thing. Orca did the same thing. Now it seems to be a little bit more. The combo system is a little bit better, and they have now what I saw was called. the developers are calling it cashing it in, where you can do a big 35 hit combo, which is more than some of the ultras were in the first game, but you're going to do maybe 15% damage until you have to do you have to input it right, as a hardcore fighter would know how to do, and have that finishing move of the combo that jumps that from 15 to 20% to like 35 to 40% of their life bar. A big difference.
All right, well, we're about out of time for right now. We gonna take our quick break, and we'll be right back.
Yeah, when we get back, we're gonna be talking about all Bobby's stuff and his gaming experience, gaming history. We're gonna be talking to you, the fans. We're gonna get some questions from you guys on how you might get to the level where Bobby is, doing the kind of things that we're doing. Remember that you are watching Unlocked Radio here on Morning Show Central, and we will be back in 7.
And I got that ad I got to read at the end of the show.
Yeah, that too.
So look forward to that one, because I'm going to do that one in a cool voice or something.
Don't spend all your money on booze, you stream mailinator.
Wait.
Why not?
Someone's buying me booze?
Spend your money on Killer Instinct and get your ass kicked. All right, we'll be back.
Booze is
Stay tuned, guys.
Unlocked Radio.
Language. Okay, he was PMSing.
You're listening to Morning Show Central Radio Network.
I know. Oh my God, I know what we're gonna do. Oh, it's so delicious, I can almost taste it.
If you're looking for the best sub shop in town, look no further. Hanini Subs, located at 7310 Lorraine Avenue, is the place for you. Stop in for a cold cut sub, cheeseburger and fries, wingdings and fries, and so much more.
I can almost taste it.
Hanini Subs at 7310 Lorraine Avenue is open 24 hours a day. Check them out on Facebook, facebook.com/burrito crazy. And if you mention MSC Radio Network, you'll get $1 off your meal. It's all good at Hanini Subs.
So damn good.
The following message is for those with a credit score of 800 and below. Who wouldn't want better credit? Did you ever wonder how different life would be from just having a higher credit score? Are you tired of being turned down for any kind of loan, or only offered high interest rates because your credit score is holding you prisoner? Life doesn't have to be that way anymore with access to Turnscor. By increasing your credit score only 50 to 100 points, it can potentially save you tens of thousands of dollars in interest over just a 5 to 10 year period. It can be the difference in getting approved for a personal loan, business loan, high limits on credit cards, a brand new car lease, or even a home mortgage. We see so many ads from companies that give us our credit score, but once we get our credit score, what are they going to do to actually repair your credit? Unfortunately, nothing. Until now, Turnscor is the first automated credit repair platform that is simple, safe, and secure. You'll be empowered right from the comfort of your own computer, so you can challenge and repair your credit report to ensure it's fair and accurate. Turnscor is specifically developed with you in mind. There's no more need for an attorney, credit repair companies, or credit counseling. More importantly, no more need for paying higher fees. Turnscor will help you get back on track and get the buying power you need. So whether you have bad credit, average credit, or even good credit, Turnscor is helping turn lives around one credit score at a time. Go to turnscore.com and enter the promo code MSC20 and get $20 off your purchase. That's TURNSCOR.com. TURNSCOR.com. Turnscore.com. Looking for reliable and affordable Shoutcast audio or video hosting? JWN Media offers complete Shoutcast hosting solutions for business or personal use. All plans come with full listener stats, custom web scripts for implementing your service into your existing website, full server control, super fast network, and huge bandwidth limits, a 99.5% uptime guarantee, and friendly, knowledgeable support personnel dedicated to making your hosting experience fun and easy. With plans starting at only $3 a month, you have no excuse not to get a server of your own. Plus, with the option to add auto DJ and on-demand services, you can be confident your station will be all it can be. Custom plans are also available at their website. Simply visit jwnmedia.com and click the Shoutcast hosting link to get started right now. You're listening to Morning Show Central Radio Network. Hey, local bands and unsigned artists. What if I told you there was a place in Cleveland where you can get your merch made and have it sold in one location? What if I said you could bring your CDs and tickets to upcoming shows to this location? And what if I said you could do live acoustic sets at this location? I bet you're thinking there's no such place in Cleveland. Guess what? You'd be wrong. Contact Rick Navario at Rock City, Cleveland, and tell him you need merch made and you want to sell it in his store. Now, how cool is that? You can tell your fans to come down and get your stuff, and I think he'd ship your products to your fans. And he's local. Contact Rick Navario at Rock City, Cleveland today. 216-622-0377. That's 216-622-0377. If you have a product or service, let people know about it. Get your message out there and advertise on MSC Radio Network. It's easier than you think, and the whole planet is listening. Find out how you can advertise. Email Chris at morningshowcentral.com.
I knew something was wrong when a little pretty white girl ran into a black man's arms.
You're listening to Morning Show Central Radio Network. P99 Technologies. Affordable and reliable web hosting done right. Jumping from one web host to another can be frustrating. Finding a good web host can be unnerving for even the most experienced of web designers. That's why Uncensored Net Noise has chosen P99 Technologies as its web hosting supplier. Established in 1999, P99 Technologies has evolved into a first-class web hosting provider. Its 99.9% uptime rivals many in the industry. That's why they offer their 30-day guarantee, no questions asked. For more information, go to P99.com. P99 Technologies will help you get started with your web presence with honest and expert customer service. P99 Technologies. Affordable and reliable web hosting done right.
This is President Barack Obama, and you're listening to MSC Radio Network.
If you're looking for the best in musical equipment, recording gear, sound reinforcement, and more, Guitar Center has you covered. Guitar Center, located at 26635 Brook Park Road in North Olmsted, has the tools of your trade with the largest selection of music and sound gear in the area. They cater to your musical needs and have the knowledge to help you out. Guitar Center in North Olmsted. MorningshowCentral.com uses them. You should too. Need to know more? Go to GuitarCenter.com. With hundreds of live weather products and layers and thousands of combinations, Weather Studio provides a professional graphics and store monitoring solution without complex user knowledge and without the industry standard price tag of $1,000 plus broadcast systems. Weather Studio displays a plethora of critical atmospheric and geophysical data on an interactive GIS-enabled computer map. Get your free 14-day trial of Weather Studio at their website, weatherstudio.paulmarv.com. That's weatherstudio.paulmarv.com. Call the show toll free. 1-888-668-0742. You're listening to Morning Show Central Radio Network on morningshowcentral.com. User friendly and ready to serve. morningshowcentral.com. Oh, great. Not another farm bill request. Check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/morningshowcentral. Denying one farm bill request at a time.
And we are back with more Unlocked Radio. We have Bobby with us here, a.k.a. Blacktastic, fighting game expert in our local area, Cleveland area. As you guys should probably know, any of you gamers out there know that Ohio's pretty damn good when it comes to gaming, especially competitive gaming. We got a lot of good people out there, so we could luckily have guests like you on the show. Appreciate you coming out.
Hey, appreciate for being here.
Yep. We want to start getting to know you now. We talked about the upcoming fighters and games like that. This half of the show is going to be about getting to know you a little better. Let the audience, people who don't know you yet, get to know you and fighting games and your particular outlook on it. We want to talk about knowing how you started. Like how do you got into gaming? How you got into fighters specifically? Like where did you start?
Well, when I was a little child, yeah, boring story starter. But
When I was a little boy.
but I used to go over to my grandma's house and my aunt's house. We used to play, and she used to have a Super Nintendo there, and it was a completely. Apparently, she built the library for me because she doesn't play any of those games. But she's like, you know what, we're gonna bring them up through gaming, which is amazing. And it started with me and my cousin. I'm going over to my aunt's house, which was his grandma's, and I found a cartridge there called Street Fighter 2 Turbo. or as the arcade team would know it as hyper fighting, where Ryu can do
Good game.
Tatsumakis in the air. And I just like as a boy, you're brought up, wanting all action.
You keep talking about you being a boy. There's someone in here called Child Porn 69, and he's probably gonna be. You're making him excited.
Of course I am.
He said, "Hi, little boy. You want to see me on cam?"
Well,
Anyway, back to Street Fighter.
so back to Street Fighter hyper fighting. It was just basically me and my cousin. Just and he's been there for me like my whole life. He's like my brother.
Yeah.
His name is Edgar, and we grew up just playing all these Super Nintendo games. And like I said, when you're that little boy being brought up, you love action, you love violence, you love carnage. I mean, you're pretty much growing up to love all that stuff.
Right. The fact that you're allowed to do that when you're young, you're like, yeah.
Exactly. and Street Fighter being a fighting game, you're able to do all that stuff without even throwing a single punch.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we pretty much got into the competitive swing there, and that would just that passion would only carry on to the more recent fighting games. In 2008, we discovered a site called Shoryuken.com. And that's basically the hub for where all competitive fighting gamers go and do a little bit of matchmaking. They throw up a little forum like, hey, if you're in Cleveland, you can meet up here, which is amazing. So, me and Edgar, and along with our friend Eric at the time, I met him on Dustloop, which is a site for Guilty Gear, Blaze Blue, but Blaze Blue wasn't really even out at that point. We went out to this guy named Chris's house, and Chris Hatala, also known as Galleon,
I know Galleon.
He's known as one of the coordinators for one of the largest
Seasons beatings.
Yeah, exactly. One of the largest, let's say, all-star game after Evo, those types of tournaments, Seasons beatings. And I didn't really know it. I didn't really know how big it was. But I'm just like, oh, cool. He runs tournaments and he plays games. That's fine. So we go over to this guy's house, and there's all these other guys here. They're playing Street Fighter 4. They're playing Tekken 6, and I'm just like, wow, I'm in heaven. Like I just love these fighting games so much, and like the ability to meet all these like-minded people with the same interests, and we just love mashing buttons. I mean, it caught on to me like really quickly that we can go from a casual gamer to pretty damn good if you stick around these people.
Yeah,
and I mean that's basically just where it all started. That's where it branched out for me from like Street Fighter and Guilty Gear onto like Tekken and KOF and even the older Street Fighter games like Super Turbo and Third Strike and all that. So I was I was pretty young at this time, but I was opened up to like a vast variety of all these different flavors of fighting games to try out. And basically I just it's just like going back to all of it. It's like being at Disney World for the first time, and competing in an actual fighting game tournament, and like it's just such an adrenaline rush when you actually are in there, in the heat of in the fray.
Instead of playing it in the comfort of your own home by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, because this was a time where Street Fighter 4 came out and there was online play and it wasn't exactly the best. You're like, man, I wish I can go and face more people. And now I just found out, hey, there's this local scene in Macedonia where all these people congregate together and play games. I'm just like, wow. I mean, I wasn't really exposed to any of this before. And now that I'm being brought into the scene, I can be a better player. I mean, I have all these aspirations in mind of, like actual winning tournaments, money, prizes, whatever, Like the possibilities are nearly endless.
Yeah, that's very true. The Galleon, I actually know him from the dancing game community.
Exactly,
the same thing there. Him and Piran both. And you run in there and you see all these other people doing all these other things, and because if you can only get so good depending on what your competition is and who you have around you. So as you see a community that large of that many skilled gamers, that allows you're like, oh, there's a whole nother world out here. There's so many more things I can learn, and then you just start getting better and better and better.
Exactly, and that's all I wanted in a competitive scene. And like again, I didn't really think that it would be possible here in like this vast thing called Ohio. But then I was brought up to know that Ohio was home to one of the better known Tekken players, the better known Third Strike players. Like Galleon was actually wins tournaments, regionals, and majors for Third Strike in his time.
Well, this is how we know Ohio sucks. I mean, we have some of the most competitive video gamers, in fighting games, first person shooters, etc. And We also are one of the more competitive states for Magic the Gathering and Hero Clicks and all these other games. So, Ohio. Who would have thought? I mean, come on. Like, all there is to do here is, like, skateboard, video game, board game. Like, come on.
And in my time in the fighting game community, this is what I've grown to know, is that the Midwest, like, we were pretty dominant, like, back then, but right now we're pretty quiet. The most dominating coasts are just, like, the East Coast, which is, like, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, the tri-state area over there.
Yeah.
And there's the West Coast, California, Arizona, and through my time in the fighting game community, especially with all these new games coming out, there are so much undiscovered talent.
Yeah.
And especially through, I'm going to bring up again the console combat, what was known as like the Midwest premier scene of actually getting together. We used to hold regional tournaments, and people from the Midwest area, even like from Eastern Pennsylvania or Indiana,
Right, the bordering states get in on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you see all these people, and you're just like, wow. I mean, like, I didn't know we can have such a great scene here, but why is no one paying attention to us? That's what we at Console Combat wanted to see. Like, we brought in people from even Southern Ohio, like Canton, like Columbus, like Cincinnati, even down in Kentucky.
Well, dude, you got to think there's no real tournaments in this area, and like that leaves so much untapped potential for tournament players.
There's more.
Oh, there was Seasons Beatings, which Galleon pretty much organized with his Godlike Entertainment before it actually dissipated. I mean, and there was also the Power Up series in Cincinnati, Ohio, which was at Arcade Legacy, which I talked to you guys with before the show, and but. The thing is that the Midwest is just so widespread. Is just that like there are so few tournaments out there, worth even actually going to that will be even regarded as majors, because we have such a huge community just nowhere to go, and that's what we in Cleveland, Ohio wanted to do. We wanted to be a central hub for all these people to come and actually grow into our own major. Yeah,
unfortunately, Cleveland scares some people. I don't understand that one.
We actually have Andre, a fellow gamer, joining. He's in our chat now. You guys played Marvel and everything, and games of the like. Yeah. I want to talk about the main games. As far as I am aware, Marvel was like your mainstay as far as gaming. That's where you made the biggest progress.
Oh yeah,
from talking about things
with
before.
Marvel vs. Capcom 3, especially in the Cleveland community, we all grew to love it. If not most, then all. I mean, if not all, then most. It was just it's easy to really get into. It's one of those games where you're easy to get into, but it's really hard to master. And that was pretty much like my my greatest time of actually being in that Cleveland community. Just actually playing that game, because you have all these people trying to get better, and also using like a different variety of teams. You actually see a lot of variety in there. So there was there was a lot of prominent players for Cleveland. Me, Andre, who lived in Cleveland at the time. We have people from Pennsylvania. A guy named Toya who used this really strong Magneto Phoenix team. We had people from Detroit, Michigan, aka Korn, who actually came down here and competed in some Marvel games, and they're actually really good. So Marvel vs. Capcom 3, it was just like basically a central hub for like pretty much every gamer, because it's such a great game to say, we got Capcom fighters and we have Marvel characters combining the two demographics to make this big explosion. And that's one of the reasons why it really succeeded, and that's it was one of the most prominent games in the console combat circuit.
Okay.
Yeah. So when it comes to Marvel, if for the gamers out there, what is your main team, and why do you play it that way?
My main team is Captain America, Storm, and Sentinel, and the only reason why I play Captain America is because America. I have this thing in fighting games where I just pick a character that I like. I don't really pick a character that's necessarily good, but a character that I can actually have fun with, and that really increases my time with the game as actually being really really fun to me.
You don't want to droll on with someone that it's like, okay, yeah, they might be top tier character, but to me it's not me. It doesn't feel right.
It's got to fit your gameplay. It's got to fit your style.
Yeah, exactly, and that that's what Captain America did to me. Like for a time when I picked up Marvel vs. Capcom 3, he was the only person that I played. I fiddled around with two other anchor characters here and there, but he was like the most fun character for me at the time.
So you just do Charging Star over and over again?
YOLO Charging Star all day.
Now, for other gamers, so let's say maybe we're casual fighters, maybe those who are trying to get into a specific game, How did you go about getting, because we talked about going into the community and getting better by getting to know all of them, but not really specifically. Like, it's obviously a very technical gaming genre.
Right.
There's a lot of technical things you can do, a lot of very specifics, figuring out frame rates and everything else. How do you go about going from like just okay to getting better? Like, what process do you go through for like training and practicing to get better? That's not like a boring just over and over again practice the same combo.
Well, it's not really a lengthy process, but it actually does take some work. Like you really do need a scene. Now, to define a scene, it's a couple. It's a group of people who actually enjoy the same game that you do. So you can go travel together to tournaments, level up, and all that. Through the power of social networking, we've been able to accomplish that really easily. Hot knife through butter. So,
Well, I mean, I just kind of joined the gaming scene more in depth and actually got into competitive, mostly due to Common Grounds.
Yeah, and there are also central hubs like that where you can go up and you can lay a system down there and see if people can actually go over and say, hey, can I play? I mean, there are a lot
do
of
they have the balls.
Exactly. There are a lot of ways to get just new people or casual people involved into competitive gaming.
Exactly.
So, what about if you were to pick somebody who's just they played Killer Instinct, they played Street Fighter when they were younger, but they never got into competitive gaming now? What game would you start with?
Game would I start with?
For like the least steep learning curve.
I mean, honestly,
Marvel, I don't
even think it should go as far as that. I honestly think it should go as far as what do you like? If you fiddle around with little games, like what do you feel right with? Yeah. Like I started with Street Fighter. You could have started with like Marvel or
my main one for competition was DOA, but that's saying the most intuitive for me. But I like Marvel because if you're saying what do you like, I liked Marvel because I like the Capcom characters.
Right.
I played the Street Fighters. I played you never can find like just a Marvel game where you can just. Those are your favorite superheroes. I want to get good at that, but that had a very steep learning curve for me as far as like anytime I would go to play with somebody, they would be eons better than I was. But like I was like, all right, let's go back over here and play DOA again. But that's just me liking it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Well, then again, through the power of the internet, even you can pretty much go on YouTube and see videos of top level players playing the game, so you can pretty much watch and learn. What techniques they're doing and how to. There's even like tutorials up there for people who actually take the time to do that stuff and go ahead and just jot down notes. I mean, there's also that. There's actually going to an actual tournament and seeing for yourself how well you stack up. There's gonna be people that are most likely better than you, but then there are people that are actually gracious enough to actually say let me give you a hand. Let me give you a little bit of advice, or let me tell you what characters to start off with, so you can learn the game's mechanics easily.
Can you give any examples of actual times where an actual learning experience that you had with somebody, actually how it went down?
I was at a plateau in the original vanilla Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Okay.
And I'm just like, why am I not winning? And I was feeling.
Someone said to start with Mario Party for fighting games.
Damn it, Alan. But no. And then sometimes when you're in that level of desperation, you want to start winning, you might want to start switching, up little characters or even little play styles. A lot of people came up and said, play Weka. Or play Albert Wesker.
Yeah,
we call him Weka because he is wacky. He was so phenomenally not broken, but he was phenomenally strong in any position in the team that you put him in. He has a great assist for extending combos to get your max damage out, and it's wow. I mean in games like Marvel vs. Capcom 3, it's okay to use crutches. In today's
Wesker's hand baskets.
In today's metagame, you see a lot of competitive players going Anchor Virgil or Anchor Phoenix, which are really the most dominant characters, aka the necessary evils of the game.
Right.
I mean, you're going to a tournament. I mean, you're gonna have fun, but winning's fun.
Winning is fun.
You want to play to win, so it's okay. I mean, it's okay to. I mean, people might look down at you for it, or it's whatever. You have the money in your pocket at the end if you come out first.
That's very true. See, that's something for me personally. I've open-minded enough to not look down on somebody for being better than me at something. You can't say,
I
want
to get better. You beat me, I'm gonna be like, all right,
that's the goal.
Round 2.
Why would you play something competitive if your goal is not to win? So I like when people lose at something and they go, "Oh, I don't even care. I'm just doing it for fun." I was like, winning is fun. Losing is not fun.
Well,
Exactly.
the day Injustice came out, I was up at Common Ground, so I was playing against a couple people, and someone just literally wrecked me like 36-0, and I was like, okay, you want to keep going? He's like, well, can I grab a coffee and like go to the bathroom real quick? And I'm like, you know what? Go for it, dude. I want to get better, and the only way I'm going to do that is by getting my ass.
Yeah, it's like
kicked.
certain people have different ways of getting better. Like certain people get better by having you just whoop the crap out of them, just over and over again, just sweep them, and then they
Now
only
I'm
learn
getting angry.
by
My
seeing
hands
the
are
best
moving
play.
better. I'm actually starting to learn how to react better.
Yeah.
I'm learning how to combo a little quicker. I might ask for some pointers, like, well, what move would you recommend in this scenario?
And that is like probably like the top 3 things that you should do. If you're playing with a casual player, he seems nice enough, and you're getting your ass whipped a little bit in casual sets. Ask what's wrong. Ask what I'm doing wrong, and ask how I can improve. Because exactly, that's how you're gonna get better. Like if you're playing Green Lantern against maybe, let's say, Cyborg, and he's throwing out random incessant things, and you
Here's your Injustice talk, chat.
Green Lantern
Green
has a really good poke game with his back one. His back one is kind of like a torch slide, and it hits low, and you can pretty much combo into it, into like maybe 30-40% damage depending on your meter.
Yeah.
So if you're not doing that, I'd say, hey, do more down one. If you see me kind of like chucking plasma at you, then just hit me with a low, or when I don't expect it, or hit me with a lift when I'm just in the starter frames of my projectile or of the string that I'm using. So there's like there's a lot of different ways that you can actually win with your character.
Yeah, like I actually tried to play through the tier with every single hero and villain at some point during that game because I wanted to try to see which ones I liked, see which ones I was good with. I ended up maining the Flash for the longest time.
Child porn got banned in the chat, by the way.
All right.
Yeah, he's been going nuts. Someone brought up something I agree with. Mirrors are the best for getting better at the game. Playing against somebody who's willing to just give you the pointers and let you know at least what you're doing right, but what you could improve on. With a mirror match, like you can't just I'm just going to random all of this and just play different characters. How am I going to learn unless I see I'm trying with the character that you're also beating me with?
Well, I tried to find the character that was most responsive to me by running through and playing each one of the champs.
You should do that. I feel.
So I got a feel for everybody. I got a rough idea of what I was working with each character, with how to counter, how they lose, where they're weak at, where they're strong, trying to learn combos of everybody. And then trying to incorporate all that into the one that I decided I liked the best, which, again, was Flash at first. I've recently actually switched back over to Nightwing.
Good.
Because, he's just better.
Well, if you want to learn Nightwing, and that's all fine and dandy, the thing that I like about Injustice is that although while not perfectly accurate, you do have your certain frame data when you go into the move list, so you can determine what move you can throw out that's relatively safe and what move to avoid if you want to just throw it out there. You're going to get punished. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I learned those really,
Which moves
really
are the
hard
feeler
with the
moves?
Flash.
Which moves you shouldn't gamble with?
Exactly.
Yeah, I made a lot of those mistakes with the Flash. A lot of them. Trying to do any of his charge moves where you actually have to charge into his hyper speed and then try to leap or kick or it's okay, so don't do that unless you knocked him back a little bit.
Yeah, Flash is a relatively execution heavy character. He's not really he's not really for everybody, but if you stick with him, learn the strengths, learn what's safe and whatnot, play an excellent poking game. He actually really did get buffed in the recent patch where his dash speed got greater, and while he's doing his trait, he's actually in a ducking position, so you can pretty much counter a let's say a high hitting projectile trait and having everything slowed down. Now everything's in your advantage because you're faster
because
now.
he already swung, his arms already extended, and now you just slowed down time.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you can literally go into your charge attacks and literally just uppercut, maybe throw off a little special meter, just kind of punish him
How
a
did
little
that
bit
Injustice
for that
tournament go, by the way? We don't have much time, but I want to know how. The main reason we brought you on here is because you won the first official Injustice tournament, and that was a pretty big mainstay. You actually were talked about outside your normal circle of friends. People didn't even know you were still talking about you when that happened. How did that go?
Let's see. The tournament was actually held in Massillon, Ohio, in a comic shop named Heroic Legacy, I want to say. And this was pretty much it was basically a launch tournament, but we had a little bit of time because it just released on Tuesday.
Yeah.
This was held on a Saturday. I was actually playing Solomon Grundy at the time. Solomon Grundy he inflicts just huge damage if you give him
Everyone
a
I've met
chance.
that seems to be good at the game seems to run him.
Yeah.
At this point. But all right, we got to get going. Check out Hanini Subs, located at 7310 Lorraine Avenue, for the best subs in town. And tell them MSC Radio Network sent you down. Get $1 off your meal.
That's actually a pretty good deal. Remember, you were watching Unlocked Radio. I'm glad you guys tuned in. There's a lot of stuff going on in the chat. Sorry we couldn't get to all you guys' questions. Next week we have more for you. I want everybody to thank Bobby, and if you guys see him around, he's the one who won our Injustice shirt as well. Unfortunately, we're wearing it today. We're gonna have pictures of that later, though. You watch Unlocked Radio at morningshowcentral.com. Remember, go and check everybody out, like us on Facebook and on Twitter, all that good stuff. And we'll see you guys next Monday.
Take care, guys.